Hello, everyone, and welcome to Authentic Journeys, the podcast where we dive into the depths of self discovery, vulnerability, and healing with a spirit of adventure and playfulness. Today, my guest is Zuma Puma, also known as Nelly Scott. Is a Canadian performer and founder of Clownlife courses, blending clowning with personal development. She has taught over 1,000 participants in 14 countries, in settings ranging from universities to corporate environments. Zuma also founded the International Lost Cabaret in London, a leading alternative comedy night since 2012, which now showcases comedians in London, Melbourne, Sydney, and Paris. Zuma is also the author of The Clown Arcana, a referential book exploring the major archetypes of the tarot through what she calls the clown lens. Welcome, Zuma.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. It's always funny to hear someone share, give you an introduction about who you are and your work.
I love to do that. I love to also see the expressions, of okay, wow, I did all that, or
Yeah, yeah, it is like, oh, okay, here we go.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also like about this, yeah, this very full life that sounds like you already have or had, and yeah, like the topic that we're exploring is continuing with this topic of passion. Yeah, so there's different approaches to it. Like, okay, if it's you are born with one passion that you need to find, or is it like what you discover through life that it becomes a passion? Yeah, that's a question that I'm opening up. I don't know how you explore, for example, with clowning.
Mm. Well, with passion, I feel like, yeah, for me, I feel something I really celebrate my parents on.
Mm.
Is that they really encouraged me to follow my joy or follow my interests, and this led me to theater, to performance, to expression, and yeah, and then it's just following the joy.
Mm.
Once you're following the joy, you're in. And for me, that was quite a profound moment when I went to my first clown school in Paris when I was 18.
Wow.
The the main kind of philosophy of this school was with l'école Philippe Gaulier in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and the main philosophy there is follow the pleasure, like follow your
Mm.
pleasure. And I remember this one sentence being so profound for my life. Like, what does life look like if I just follow my pleasure? And then I felt that open up into follow the passion, follow where the energy is, the excitement, the fire is burning. And and that just kept keeping me down the road of clowning, because I thought, like, oh, more laughter,
Uh-huh.
more play, more expression, more shining, or you know
Mm.
mm, more attention.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can really. I know what you're talking about. Growing up with 10 siblings, 9 younger, I had to find also a way to call the attention, and also being a clown. If you see my pictures from, I don't know, 3 to 12 or 15, I'm always like with all kind of expressions and just clowning around. And that's how also, yeah, I got it. I got to, okay, it works.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the it's like, yeah, a constant play with life or something,
Mm.
constant exploration of curiosity. And where is the
Uh-huh.
curiosity? What brings me to life more and more? And I would say, like, yeah, so much of my work really stemmed out of that. I didn't, at the beginning when I first started clowning, is like, I remember there weren't very many women that I knew of
Mm.
who were clown. A lot of people who are training in clown, but not so many who are working professionally or teaching as clown
Yeah.
teachers. And I remember wanting to explore, you know, and started to look for where are people who are clowning more? Can I find more pleasure to play? I got kind of addicted to it, to
Mm.
this. And then it didn't make any sense for me. A lot of my extended family were like, "What are you doing wasting your time?
Yeah.
You know, why don't you go and become a history teacher or something?" Or because I was good at history in school.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, there's a side to that. But yeah, but I felt it as like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense, you know. I don't
Mm.
know if I can even make a career in clowning. I don't know if that's even possible. Hadn't really seen that done.
Yeah.
um but I thought, I'm just going to follow what makes me happy, or what brings me joy, or what burns some sort of passion, fire, flame, and see where that takes me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that because also that is kind of goes with this idea that okay, you're not like born with a passion, but it's more like it's about being
Mm.
curious. You know, it's like allowing the curiosity to expand, and that becomes interest. And when you give strength to this interest, and you involve and you give hours to it, it becomes like a hunger. You know, and that also that can yeah become a passion. And also
Mm.
my question also is like on the other side of your clown workshops and in the book, like there's also for personal growth. How can you relate, or how did you like connect clown and personal growth? How is it for you?
Mm. Yeah, I remember experiencing it like I almost had like two different personalities. I remember there was a time where there was the clown personality version of myself, where I went to perform in all the comedy nights, training in all the clown courses, running a cabaret, doing shows. And it was like, that's the funny version of me.
Uh-huh.
And then there was also like on the weekends going and sitting in medicine ceremonies and doing
Mm.
personal development work. But it was like, that's a serious side of me. That's a side where I cry and I'm serious and life is very
Uh-huh.
serious. and
Inner work,
and I
right?
yes, and it felt like this kind of like I was split
Yeah.
in between. And then I remember feeling like, how do I, just even having a question like, how do I bring these two parts together? Where is the, you know, how do I find more of what I'm searching for in personal development and spiritual work
Mm-hmm.
in, and how do I find more playfulness in the more spiritual personal development work? And just even having that question, I feel, was enough to start leading me to
Mm.
find it and more, and then integrate both. And then, yeah. And so now I feel it more as like a complete whole circle. There's no separation. Clowning is life. It's like the comedy of you. It's the
Uh-huh.
ridiculous of you. No, it is spiritual. It is personal development.
Yeah, I really like also this including comedy in personal development. I'm really a fan and passionate about provocative therapy, which
Hmm.
is actually that, you know, it's like okay, joking in a friendly manner, not like bullying, but actually joking with the client, patient, whatever you call it, and like being able to laugh at what you are struggling with, and like this movie that you have, okay, so my life sucks because this, and just laughing at it. It's like you being able to look it from a different angle, and that's already part of the healing, you know, just like this getting out of the identification.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I see that very powerful.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's part of the seed of what led me to El Juego, actually.
Mm.
It's this like doing research on clowning and exploring conflict in clown and exploring the line between comedy and tragedy. And like, okay, where is the comedy and tragedy? And
Mm.
how do we, because so much of what's funny is tragic, you know, it's a conflict. If
Yeah.
everybody was happy and fine on stage, it wouldn't be interesting. There's no
Uh-huh.
what are we relating to. But there's something that opens up when we bring actually a real conflict, or
Mm-hmm.
exploring the world through looking at conflicts in a funny lens, or like
Mm.
looking at the tragedy, and bringing humor to it. And so I was really curious about this kind of, okay, where do I explore more of my tragedy? Or where do I explore more of the more challenging conflicts in my life, you know, and like where are the spaces, and how does that relate to clown? Can I still access the clown through those spaces?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in a research with this.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's I'm not a master by any stretch, um, but it is interesting when yeah, exactly, this like identification with the conflict or with the tragedy. It's so hard to
Mm.
see the comedy in it. It's like we need to have some space from it, to be able to bring the humor to it. And then there's the release, you know. It's like in comedy we talk about how there needs to be tension and then release
Yeah.
can come. And it's like that's what we aim for. We want there to be a release in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever there's tension, we want to bring the release.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the difference I see maybe in comedy, that is like you create the tension in order for the release to be, you know, for like the punchline, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Or but in life the tension is there, so it's like in us to find the release also. And I really yeah, I really like humor is such a lifesaver for me, in my life, and also like supporting others in relationships, whatever. We might be in the middle of a discussion, a conflict with my partner, with Nina, but if someone says something funny, or we mistake the phrase, she says Ilam instead of Luis or something like that. That's my son's name. It's like, whoa, okay, okay, it's gone, you know, like the tension is gone, it breaks.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so sweet that how like it's like a reframe, like an instant reframe.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at something immediately through a slightly different lens can take out so much of the charge or release the charge.
Completely,
Yeah,
completely.
yeah.
Yeah, also that reminds me of, I've heard these studies about meditation, and how meditation, just the basic, observing the breathing, you know, just being aware of the air coming in and out of the nose, that exercise of the brain to get distracted by any thoughts and then come back to the breath, and get distracted and then come back, and like this, being conscious of going back to the breath, that also allows us in situations in life, if we're like going completely one way with this thought, with this argument, with this discussion, and we say, whoa, 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 wait, okay, I was going too far with this thought, you know. It's like also giving importance to, okay, here and now, that's not war, it's not like absolute, I'm not the worst, or she's not the worst, or he's, it's more about, yeah, completely finding like the objective side of
Mm,
things.
yeah,
And humor can do that as well.
totally. And it really, like hearing you makes me think of one of the practices that I play with in clowning, of like, so when we play with emotion, you know, and so whatever it is, and if we say go into tears or anger, then it's looking for the pleasure and the
Mm-hmm.
gain of anger. So where can we take, so we start maybe with the anger, but if it feels too real and too charged, the audience is going to get really scared, you know.
Yeah.
Or
Mm-hmm.
with the tears and the sadness, it's like if we go into that and it feels too charged and real, like the audience is going to relate. It can trip them straight into that place as
Uh-huh.
well. But if we're looking for release, it's like, where do we start from that real charge, but then find the pleasure, where we can enjoy that emotion, and then start playing with, okay, how do we bring that into the absurd, the game, of the game of the sadness, where it's like we start, with a little tear and the sadness, but then it kind of becomes this big snotty thing, and the snot is coming out everywhere, and it's like, this like, hilarious release, and then it helps the audience connect to the emotion, but then brings them with you into this like absurd game that's like releases the tension of everyone's, because they relate to it, but then we take it into something absurd, something beyond. Anyway, yeah, it made me think of that, like playing with the emotion into a place where it's like, okay, and we can enjoy it. There's some part of us that enjoys expressing these emotions and having them be seen and being related to, or relate in that.
I see that also as just that description that you gave sounds also therapeutic for the audience, right? Because they can allow the emotions. They can see, okay, there's an emotion, it's being expressed. That's already just that is not very normal in our society that much, or in their society can be like completely chaotic. So if there's like a container, okay, it's in this scene, and then it can come out and the tension can be released. It's all the waves of emotion, and then you can laugh at it. So it's like the somewhere inside of us, there's like, okay, there's the expression of emotion is not complete chaos or pain or loneliness, but it's like, okay, there's laugh and there's relief, and there's like we are together also in this. So yeah, you see that very, very therapeutic as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I really love that about the world of comedy and also the world of clown, because for me, clowning really, it's like an art of connection. It's like an art of humor and connection. And it's because it's entirely about the relationship between the performer and their audience. We're in it together, so it's very collective. The what we're exploring on stage, or even just off stage in a more personal sense. And so in that way, it's like the audience access themselves or some part of their own tragedy, their own conflict, their own pain through the person who's on stage. And then the person on stage releases it for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking for that release for the whole collective.
Yeah, because there cannot be involvement if there's no some sort of identification, right? So yeah, that's really, really nice to see it in this angle, and also when you say that you're researching like with pain and humor at the same time, I had this beautiful conversation with Joelle, the last interview that I did, where she's mainly a researcher, and she defined research as leaving this interest in what she likes, and like going and asking people, okay, what do you think about this, and how we can define this question, and how we can find answers together. And yeah, I don't know how you live this research, but I feel it very beautiful that way.
Yeah, so that it's like you're not alone in that investigation. You start involving other people in that investigation. So how do we find this, together?
Yeah, that creates that creates a community. That is also, that's what Joel was saying in our interview. Like this, that's like a community is a researching group, or what we are doing also in El Juego, because we are all sharing in the circle different angles, different perspectives, and we're kind of defining in a non-restrictive way what we see, a process, a general process, or a person's live moment, or so yeah. And I it's very interesting about the book that we talked about when you were here in El Juego, that you finished just before coming to the 4 months
Hmm.
retreat. Yeah, how do you feel about this book? Has it been with you, like sharing it? How are the feedbacks that you've received?
Yeah. Well, still I'm on a journey of publishing it. So
Okay,
it's
okay,
not published
almost
yet.
there.
Yeah. But I feel, yeah, it's fun that you bring it up because I was just talking about it with a friend today, and I feel like I've had some distance from it in the last 4 months,
Hmm.
or the last 5 months, and now I'm coming back to it, and it feels really exciting to come back to it, because it's I essentially, it was quite a big project of how do I write about the insights of clowning. Like I wanted to teach my pedagogy, or the way that I see clown and how it relates to life, but I wanted it to be playful and interactive, so that
Uh-huh.
the people who are reading it are like playing a game almost as they're reading it, so that it opens up, it becomes a more immersive experience of what clowning is. It's like even in the reading of the work, it
Hmm.
becomes. So I thought, I've been doing this work of embodying the tarot arcana, the major archetypes of the tarot, and I've been working with a theater company in England for the last 10 years called the Divine Ridiculous, and we've had all kinds of crazy projects, like taking over like 3-story pubs and building huge art installations, and 22 performers playing different archetypes of the tarot, and
Wow.
the audience come and get their tarot cards read at the door, and then come into this crazy immersive world and go and find their reading. And we've done this all over Europe, like in Italy and all over the place.
Wow.
And we actually have a show coming up at London Clown Festival soon, because we're reconvening. But this has been quite a big part of my journey and process, and I thought, oh, it'd be really fun to involve the tarot, as a structure, as a container for exploring the insights of clown.
Hmm.
Uh, because in a way, when we're exploring clown, we are exploring archetypes. We're exploring all the different aspects of ourself. It's like the comedy, the humor of you, how you are, what makes you ridiculous, what
Hmm.
makes you poetic. It's like that's the clown.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to invite in these ancient archetypes that live in everyone and have forever lived in us. And the tarot represents, the 22 major archetypes that are recognized universally. So it felt like a really sweet structure just to bring it all into form. And then look at, okay, if we're looking at the fool archetype, what are the lessons of clowning through the fool archetype? And it's like, okay, the lesson of freedom and expression and madness, and
Hmm.
following the thread of like whatever comes, and the complete freedom that we're looking for in clown. And then, something like the devil, an archetype like the devil would be exploring the shadow,
Yeah.
where's the edge that the audience wants to go, but don't want to say they want to go there. They're too scared to go to say, let's go there, but they really
Uh-huh.
want to go.
But they love it when someone does, right?
Yeah, they're so thankful. They're like, thank goodness that you took us there. That's terrifying and so exciting. Like it's where life is.
Hmm.
That it's like the moment where we bring all of the audience really to the edge of their seats, and that's really exciting. So I just looked at writing this book, so that in a way, if somebody wanted, I also painted a deck of tarot cards to go along with the book. So somebody could have the book or both, but in a way, I wanted it to be a game. So somebody could, you know,
Yeah.
um, pick a card and then learn about the aspects of clown that teaches them for life, for performance. They could read the book back to front to back, from the middle out, like, but just to have like an interactive, fun, playful way of engaging with research or these concepts or philosophies that we're taught in clown school, or that are taught in many clown schools. Yeah.
Wow. That, yeah, that's amazing. If the book comes with the tarot deck, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It reminds me of an Argentinian author named Julio Cortázar, and he wrote this book called Rayuela, which means you know this game where you draw chalk squares on the ground and you jump and you throw rock to the, how is it, you know that name, that you jump through the squares and you get to from hell to heaven or something like that? Never play that?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay, so
but it sounds
that
I will play it.
Yeah, there's a game like that children played, like, I don't know, 50 years ago or something like that. And basically, yeah, you can so change the order of the chapters, or he wrote 2 books inside of one, so you can choose the long version or the short version, or you can just completely just throw dices, you know, and pick a chapter, and it has a life in itself, you know. It's very playful. That was the idea, you know, to just jump from square to square, and you don't really need to have a continuity. And it's, yeah, it sounds like this very playful way of writing, and also expecting and inviting the readers to play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
yeah, I want to read that book now. You have to send it. You have to send it.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And now I have a few questions about passion. And
yes.
So what does passion mean to you? Like, just to start.
Well, for me, passion it feels like warm and fiery. It means like it means it's like a force, and a force within that guides us towards what we're longing for, or an excitement. For me, there's something to do with this a fiery excitement or force that propels us towards what we're longing for, or where say that's what I feel passion is.
Yeah. It's also sounds like this comes with a childish attitude as well, you know, like passionate, like a fire child. That's what it comes to me, you know.
Yeah, it can, and it can also be wild and also intense, and yeah, overwhelming. I think.
Yeah, for sure. And now, what are some of the skills or habits that you practice or improve?
Around passion, around awakening, expanding. Well, I really love, and I feel like even more since, and before I came to El Juego, I really loved challenging myself, giving myself these little challenges. So for instance, like I run an online course where it's called Harness Your Creative Practice, and I'll commit to a 6-week creative practice to help me keep kind of leaning into my curiosity or my excitement in life. And so I did things like a 6-week research of just like, what is it to wear costumes every day for 6 weeks? And how do people interact with me? How do I interact with the world? What happens in that? I also did 6 weeks of dancing in public spaces. And so every single day I had to dance in public, somewhere in a public space, like And by the end of it, I was like dancing through malls and on Easter Sunday in like a very populated mall on my own. And it was terrifying, totally terrifying, but really exciting. And so I feel like something about, and then being at El Juego, I was challenged many times to lean into curiosity, but also provoked into, okay, yeah, like here's the challenge. Why not wear, only wear other people's clothes for a week or 2 weeks and see what happens, like how you feel about your body, your image when you're wearing other people's clothes, and the different ways that you feel the world and other people see you in the world. And just these little tiny kinds of challenges like this that I did with you all. I feel like all of these things awaken a kind of passion, a curiosity, a fire that leads me more towards my longing to ultimately grow and discover more of what life can be, where I feel most alive. So I would say that's the practice. I mean, I feel like it's a very open-ended practice of just like challenge myself, give myself little challenges.
Yeah. Wow. And all these challenges are very like experimental, like it involves the world, right? The interactions. It's not like, okay, now I'm gonna eat vegetarian or just eat fruit, or it's not just you with yourself, but it involves also the surroundings, and that's much scarier, I bet.
Yeah.
And also gives.
And it can, oh yeah, and it can also be something small that like brings us into ourselves. For how I even got to writing this book was that I challenged myself to write for 30 minutes a day minimum. And then, I got to the computer and then I wanted to stay there sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours, because it's where I wanted to be. So, but it was that challenge of like writing for 30 minutes every day that also felt like a very personal thing, but it led me more towards something I was passionate about and engaging with my passion. So yeah, I feel it like we can do these little challenges where we don't engage with the world and it still feeds our excitement, and we can engage with the world and it feeds our excitement.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. That's quite brave.
To sit and write for 30 minutes every day.
That too. And it's awesome because maybe if you challenge yourself to write a book, then it's too much, right? But if you challenge yourself to have a 30-minute sit down writing, it's like more possible, more actually achievable.
Yeah. I spent 5 years telling myself I'm going to write a book, and I never, started so many times.
Yeah, I know that too. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
With my 3 book ideas that I was like, okay, enough. I think podcast is easier than that.
You can get AI to write this out, and then you've got a book with every podcast.
Great. Yeah, that's gonna be it. I already have the title, so.
Great.
It wouldn't be as authentic though, authentic journeys written by AI. Oh, but the people are authentic, yeah. And how was it for you about now talking about this topic of authenticity? How was it for you to do something completely different than the normal, like being a clown in your life instead of a history teacher? How is it with the world, with the friends, with the family? Well, your family is also in the show business, right? So, but how is it?
Yeah, I felt like, well, I'm grateful. My parents were very supportive of, they didn't entirely get it. They're in theater, so they get theater. And they thought, okay, you enjoy being funny, you're funny, like we get that. Clowning was a bit of a stretch for a while, but then they started enjoying it more and more and more. And actually now my mom is directing clown shows, and you know, and my dad's involved in designing the sets, and you know, so they're totally in now.
Wow.
And I've even gone and taught at the university my mom taught at, and anyway, there's been a lot of interest just from my family's encouragement of leaning into this thing that seemed so absurd at the beginning. And I felt it was a challenge at the beginning, mainly because I didn't see anybody like me who was doing it. I didn't see any young women who were clowning. I mostly saw kind of old, middle-aged, bald white men doing clown. And so I couldn't identify within the art. I couldn't go, oh, that's me. I see myself in that. It didn't really seem possible. But it brought me so much joy. It was like, well, this is the only thing that makes sense to me to do, to lean in and then see what happens. My extended family, that was a more challenging thing to confront or to face. And I still think, you know, there's challenges there. You know, and I'm now at the point where I can laugh about it because because I've now committed 16 years to clowning. So there's, you know, and it's brought me so much in my life that it feels, like it's even kind of a hilarious comedy sketch. The people who are like, well, that's a ridiculous job. Why would you ever do that? And I'm like, yeah, it is a totally ridiculous job. Exactly why I should be doing that. You know? What better reason to do something than for it to be absolutely absurd and ridiculous? It's like the whole point of doing it. So I feel, in a way, I've changed that, how I feel about my family, my extended family, seeing me do this work. And with peers, how does I feel with my peers, you know, it's interesting. I feel very much like in my community, I'm so much in the clowning and in the comedy community. It's, you know, coming to El Juego, it was really like, how do I break out of this identity? Actually, this is who I am, and who am I? Like, I can't let go of this. And now I feel it more as this is a huge part of me that I love, you know, and I love. But I've had so much fun going into corporate settings, you know, and getting everyone to play clown games and just shifting the reality a bit, just to bring in more laughter, find more space to play with the dynamics in different corporate settings or group settings. And that's always interesting, you know, people see me come in and there's always a bit of tension, like, who is this woman and how, you know, how ridiculous that she thinks she can do this with her life and call herself Zuma Puma. What a ridiculous name. How stupid is this name? You know, and there's always a bit of a like, oof. And then it's so fun how, like you said earlier, how comedy and humor, laughter just breaks through that tension. It's like, there's a quote out there, I can't remember who said it, but that laughter is the closest connection between two people. And I feel this so much in shows or in, you know, when there's real authentic laughter. It's like, it brings people so close together, instantly breaks attention and brings them together. I hope that answered that question.
No, for sure. Yeah, no. So now I imagine this situation, right, in a corporate where everyone wants to appear more serious, like the LinkedIn profiles, you know.
Yeah.
that they want to just build up with the exotic names about their occupations, and then suddenly, okay, they have to represent a drunk giraffe or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And how, yeah, how that can like really create bonds between people that are just in their own masks. Because it's still a mask saying, okay, I'm the boss, or I'm the HR, or whatever, you know. It's part of this identification, like how we are learned to relate to others is mainly about, okay, I am doctor, I am lawyer, I
Yeah.
am. So yeah, it's very fun to also say that, yeah, I am ridiculous, you know, and that can break everything down. And yeah, just like I'm curious if there's any interesting story about, like, okay, breaking this model, or this the figure that some people have, and how they can completely change, or what they learn in the
Mm.
corporate or other areas. I don't know if you have like a or when it happened to you, like you were.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but I'm still on when we were just talking. I had a memory of teaching a corporate workshop, and we were playing this game where uh, one person is kind of the mother, and they get to keep their eyes open, and
Uh-huh.
everybody else's eyes are closed, and they're looking for the mother. And once they get to the mother, then they get to open their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, the person who somebody quit at some point in the game. They were looking for the mother. Their eyes were closed, and then everybody was in suit jackets, you know. And
Uh-huh.
this person was like, "I quit. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not playing the game." They opened their eyes and they stood in one place. So it confused everyone, and all of a sudden there were two mothers, you know, and everybody started like sitting with that person opening their eyes. And then another person quit, and then at the end of the game everyone's eyes were open, and usually everyone should be surrounded by one person, you know, the one mother, and they should all be in one place.
Yeah.
But we had like 4 different groups across the room, which was hilarious to explore, you know. Also the clown of the person who is like, absolutely not, I refuse to play the game, I will
And they're
now decide.
surrounded.
Yeah, I refuse to play this way. I will change the rules of the game within the middle of the game to suit what I want. And that was hysterical. And the amount of laughter that came into the room, and everyone laughing with, you know, these different characters and personalities, and how that was representative of their dynamics in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
playing with all of these different dynamics within the workplace, you know, of power and control, or decision making, or you know, I refuse to follow the game. I need to make the game, make the rules of the game. And it was so fun to play with, kind of breaking all of these, these, I guess, stereotype, or or just bringing these dynamics more to light, that
Yeah.
gave other people more space to laugh with it and enjoy it, and then brought the teams closer together. So I feel it's like, you know, and at least when I was working in corporate, you know, but this was 10 years ago, I felt like sometimes it was quite a toxic environment, or like there was no laughter. It was so hard to find the joy in the space.
Yeah.
And so I felt that it was so important to bring this kind of these games, these ridiculous games that play with, okay, how we are, and our discomforts and our dynamics, and bring a light to them, and give it space for everyone to laugh, to find some release that brings people closer together, and then also makes them feel safer in their environment.
Yeah, for sure. Just laughing about a specific hierarchy or structure that can like break down this solid mold, you know, that you can see So wow,
Yeah.
that sounds very fun also to explore and just to give this workshop. I bet you also have a lot of laughs there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a question. Uh, I forgot. Yeah, but
I'm I'm
mhm.
not even sure if I answered your last question. I just went on a whole tangent from the previous.
No, no, it actually went to. I was asking for an example or a situation that was interesting, and you completely nailed it.
Great. Woohoo! Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I, I, I just remembered, but it wasn't a question. It's just like I remember now that you're talking about these corporate situations. When I was working in call centers, which is like
Hmm.
customer support, it's like the lowest of the lowest of the corporate position that you can get is that one. So there wasn't many responsibilities or weights or so and that was when I had the best times, because we all the ones that are working there were like not taking it that much serious, and we all
Mm.
knew it was like, okay, it's a yeah, I need this job for a year and then I'm going traveling or doing some other thing. And that was the best time that I had, because it wasn't a good paying job. It wasn't, maybe it was the times where at night I worked until 2 a.m. at some point, the dead shift. But I had so much fun with the people because there wasn't that much structure. It was like, okay, yeah, we took calls and we paused the customer and laughed and make jokes about the people or their problems. So yeah, now whenever you call a call center, there's
Thank
just
goodness.
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Thank goodness.
exactly. And I'm sure that I stayed 6 more months that I would, only because of these partners, these people that they just made the whole thing bearable.
Yeah. It makes me, I had an image while you were talking of like imagining also if you call a call center and everybody's in some ridiculous costume, and they're like, we're all wearing giant fuzzy hats and like a weird cape or something. And just to play with reframing the ridiculous of,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
kind of like that. There was also like I don't know, I don't know how to say, but it's like there were a lot of goth people or
Yeah, yeah,
drag queens going on their dresses,
yeah,
or it was like because you just need your voice, no one was gonna
yeah.
judge you of how you're dressing. So there was, yes, this amalgam of
You
different.
could be anything.
Uh-huh.
You could be whoever you want to be because it's only your voice that
Exactly.
represents.
Yeah,
Mm,
I was Charlie, for example.
great.
Yeah, that was such a fun time. And so yeah, now I have like a few kind of, yeah, closing questions, but just to explore
Mhm.
also them. Um, if you could teach one thing to the whole world, what would it be?
I mean, I would say it's follow your pleasure. That feels like my motto in life.
Hmm.
Follow the passion. Maybe feels more alive now, even. Follow that because sometimes the pleasure is hard to access.
Hmm.
But passion feels like it can be alive even in the pain, even in the pain there's something that brings us more to life, or something that brings us more to our fire, or our longing. And I think if we keep following that, then it could
Hmm.
bring us to pleasure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was there any time that you kind of felt that you lost this fire, and how did you do to reignite it?
Mm. Yeah, I felt like I lost it. I felt I lost it a bit last year, even. I felt before I came to El Juego, because I felt like I kind of burnt out.
Mm.
I was doing so much, touring, workshops, retreats, holding space, so many things by myself. And with assistance, I hired people to support me, but it was like, I just felt like I hit a wall and
Mm.
injured my back. And all of a sudden my body couldn't I couldn't really move so well for a few months. And the only thing I could do was write. So I wrote
Mm.
about my passion, but I felt like my relationship to teaching in the space or performing kind of shifted, and it was really scary. Like, who am I now if I'm not performing all the shows and teaching all the workshops? Who am I now, even just writing about it? Or it was really terrifying for like almost like an identity loss. And I felt like, for me, I was so grateful to find El Juego. And I think the thing there was, um, at that moment, I couldn't really connect so much to my pleasure in life. And maybe that's why that was my anecdote in the last question. But I
Mm.
could find my passion. I could find that, okay, like I know that I'm passionate about my growth. I know I'm passionate about leaning into my life, to finding ways to feel more alive, to experience more of life. And I want to do what I need to do to heal the pains, to bring me more to life. And that's how I found you. That's how I found El Juego. And I feel like through this time with you, to the fellowship, like, I had a long moment of going, let me put the clown on the shelf for a while. Like, who am I without this career, and without this identity, and without all of this? And it was so beautiful what I found, that like, regardless of what I do or how I do it, or my career, my job, there's love, there's life, there's passion, there's pleasure, there's depth, there's pain, there's all of it. No matter what.
Yeah.
and and then I can still choose to do clown. And you know but yeah, I did feel like there were some scary moments of where it felt like, you know, what what is life if it's not the thing that I always thought brought me to my joy?
Yeah.
Uh, and then I think in those moments, it's like, okay, well, where is my pain, and what's bringing me to life? And maybe that will bring me back to my pleasure, to my joy. And I feel so far that, yeah, the more I connect to that life, the more I come back to my pleasure.
Mm. Yeah, to that
Yeah.
life also, including the pain, right? And seeing it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Especially, I
Yeah.
think, especially the pain. Yeah. And giving it more space and allowing it more time to be here, to be allowed to be here. That life is not just one side of me,
Yeah.
but it's all me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so now I feel like I'm coming back into my life with like a new passion, a new curiosity to lean into to conflict, to lean into pain, to lean into other things that aren't just pleasure and joy and laughter, but also like the depth, the pain, the humanity, the life that brings us all together. That feels, and so a new passion has emerged.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that sounds
Thanks to
beautiful.
you.
Hey. Yeah, it's all in you, actually. Thank you for opening up and for,
Mm,
yeah, giving us the gift of your presence. It's beautiful
mm,
to have your acquaintance.
yeah. Yeah, I miss you all so much. And it's, yeah. it was life-changing and transformative to be there. What a gift, you know? It's like, what a privilege and what incredible work you're doing.
Yeah, and I hope also to see you at some point in this tour through Europe that we're gonna have. I don't know when or what, but maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm planning on coming back to Colombia, so.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I'm coming back to El Juego, basically. That's.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it's very nice to see you. Really makes me happy just to wow. Zuma.
Yeah.
And just to wrap it up, I have two more questions, which is that I ask, as the previous ones, I asked to every guest in the podcast. So if you could go back to your childhood and meet your younger self and your parents, what would you like to tell them first, your parents?
Mm. Mm. Think. That's a good question. It's hard to, like, there's so many things. What comes to me is, I love you, I miss you, I want you, I want to be with you more, I want to see you more, I want to spend more time with you, I want you to see me, I want you to listen, I want you to take my sadness and my pain seriously.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
And if you now look at the little Zuma, and what would you tell her?
I would say, I'm so excited for you. You're going to live such an extraordinary and beautiful life. And your parents love you so much. You're going to meet some incredible friends. Just keep shining and or keep following your curiosity and keep following your pleasure, and you will, because you have to. And you're deeply, deeply loved.
That's beautiful. And the last question is in one word or phrase, how would you describe the community El Juego?
Wild, raw, provocative, beautiful, transformative, powerful, potent, profound, deep, liberating, and empowering. And the most connection and most true, authentic connection I've ever found in my life.
Yeah, and I love it because every time I ask this, I also feel like whatever you say, you're also describing yourself. And that's exactly also what I see in you. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.